So this is the first phase of the cart build right here, the first step in it. I'm going off of Paul's instructions right there, and he gives a lot of good notes in there. So what we're going to do first is dress all of the edges and all the sides there where it's going to be welded. I'm going to clean that up. You know, that's always a good thing to do whenever you're welding, have good clean base metal, and he makes note of that in his instructions there. So I'm going to use a little angle plate, the angle grinder I mean, and we're going to go around all these edges here, and I'm going to clean all those up, brighten up all the edges. Anywhere I got to weld. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of all that because there's quite a bit of length there to do. Okay, we're starting with the bottom and the side rails there. And I'm going to get those tacked in. I'm trying to make use of my Fireball mini squares there to help me hold that up square. And these are all supposed to be open face corner joints. And Paul's got these got all these parts bent up so everything fits up near perfect. But I'm going to start with some tacks here on this side. It's easier for me to square it up this way than stand it up and start on the other side there. And I'm just going to hand fit it because that falls right in right there, and we're going to put some tacks along there, and then we'll work our way down because this has a very slight bow to it from it being cut, but we'll get this side tacked off, then we'll work there. I'm going to use the thumb control here, the finger switch, to just try to blast our tacks in there without having to use the foot pedal. So I've got it set, it says 98 amp. We're going to see if we need to tweak it from there. All right, well, that did it. Working quite nicely. I'm just going to pull it up and hold it by hand. This area right here just needs to be brought up a little bit. I'll keep working that all the way down, hand fitting it so that we've got an open face corner. All right, that's both sides tacked on there, and I only had a couple of them where I was having problems with it not wanting to flow together really fast. I had to go in there with a filler rod and tack those two right there. But this side fit up really good. It was a nice open face joint right all the way down it. All right, we got the bottle base fitted in there now. I'll have to do some hand fitting, but I've got this seam right here lined up just like it should, going off the directions there. Come in here and give these a couple tacks, and then I'm going to pull all these together. This one's been a little tricky to get squared up. I got that fireball square in there, and I've been getting all my clamps finally where I could pull it together. I'll try to get it tacked before everything falls apart here. Alright, so I've got her flipped upside down, and the next piece of the puzzle is the axle bracket. This is the big heavy piece that gives a lot of support back here to the back end of the cart, and these fit down through that slot right there. And it is a very, very close fit, so I'm going to have to kind of squeeze it together a little bit, like that. And you can see it's trying to stick on that edge right there. Have to line the holes up. So we'll get some bolts and line the holes up there on both sides. Well, we've come to the point in the base where it's now time to weld all of the corner joints up. And the axle bracket that I just tacked on, he shows in the instructions there. We got to flip it upside down and do some stitch welds on the bottom and stitch welds on the sides of the brackets on the inside. And then we're going to completely weld these out on the top side and the front. So that's going to be coming up next. Alright guys, we're going to start getting this thing fully welded in. I've got a lot of long welds going down each side across the back, and then we got some stitch welding on the back there. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to start with 1/16 diameter filler rod. I'm going to see how that flows, and I've got my 3/32 as well if I need. I'm going to be using the foot pedal control on this particular weld. It's doing pretty good. I could probably back down the amperage just a bit. I'm at 125, and I don't have the pedal fully depressed, so I think it's doing well though. All right, one long section welded. I don't think I did too bad for a machinist. Kind of a tricky spot to get up in here. We're gonna switch it up and try it left-handed. So we just pretty much finished welding most of the base. I still got to go along the bottom and do the stitch welds. But I wanted to point out that I'm just now starting to get some heat into the torch here. I noticed it in my glove around, yeah, this area of the torch is actually really hot. You know, this is a gas cooled torch. I'm not running a water cooler on it. So the gas flowing through it is what cools it. So I'm just pointing it out. That's all I'm doing. But we've done quite a bit of welds on here, continuous welds too, and so I haven't, you know, gone over the duty cycle yet. And we'll just let this cool and do our stitch welds, which is going to pan out probably for my gas bottle because I'm just about out of gas. I've been trying to run that bottle empty before I go and exchange it. So I think I got enough to do these bottom stitch welds here, and then that'll complete the base of the welding cart. I'm going to make some visual reference marks here so it kind of make it look a little bit more uniform. I think I'll go 3 inches. There's a gap down on this end, so what I'm doing is I'm doing the lay wire and I'm filling the gap, rocking it to each side. I just strike my arc, I lay the rod in there, and I work the tungsten to each side of the rod. And now we're back on solid material. This side here I'm using the 3/32 rod, and I've got the machine set at 130 amp. That seems to be pretty decent. Could actually go up some from that. I've got the pedal maxed out. Okay, I got the base fully welded in. The next phase after this is going to be the rails, the upright rails that go where those holes are. But just giving you a peek at my work. We got a few places that I burned through a little bit heavy on the heat. We can do some dressing and polishing on that, which is what I plan to do on all these welds. We're gonna hit them with a flap wheel on the grinder to kind of make a nice smooth radius around all the corners. We got that welded in, our stitch welds. And on the inside you can see the pretty good penetration in the corner joints. It's turning out pretty good. Not too bad for a machinist. But I am a machinist before I'm a welder. But it's nice being able to do this stuff myself. So pretty cool. That's about it for this segment here, because my argon is just about completely spent. I've got, it looks like maybe 100 pounds left in the tank right there. So I'm going to take this this coming week. Hopefully I'll have time to run down to Westco and get some more gas. Everlast is doing good. I'm really enjoying the new features of this style machine. So it's working out pretty good, and can't wait to get the cart done so that all this will have a nice organized place to hang and put up in a proper storage manner. Okay, I'm getting back on the cart this evening. Well, I'm going to start getting the welds polished and dressed in. I'm going to use the flap disc there on the grinders to try to get the corner radius blended in and looking nice. And I'm going to get that done first. That way it's easy to flip around and get to all these edges. And then after that, we'll start installing the 2 rails right here that go in those holes. I managed to go up today and get me a fresh bottle of argon. We got that ready to roll for some more welding. So got that out of the way. Let's get this thing polished up.